Ferrari is looking to upgrade the SF23 in Barcelona to the extent of challenging Red Bull for the wins, and considering they're the only team that was able to do so in 2023 in Baku, this is not too far from the truth. While it's evident that Ferrari does have some inevitable issues with the car, they're not too hard to fix or need a complete change in direction, something that Vasseur pointed out while explaining which parts are undergoing a change for the upcoming GP. So could we see Leclerc win the race that was meant for him last year? Ferrari has had a rough patch so far in 2023, but unlike the other teams, they seem to have found the perfect operating window for the SF23, which goes to show that Leclerc and Sainz are not that far away from winning the race as everybody else believes. Quite the contrary, Leclerc's qualifying lap in Monaco showed that the car does have everything it needs in terms of being close to the Red Bulls, but it's the race pace that they're desperately missing, and this exact part of the car will be improved for the Barcelona GP. Now, one thing that the car struggled a lot with is consistency, and while this is an issue that is also present on the W14 and Mercedes is looking to tackle it by introducing a brand new philosophy, the same couldn't be said for Ferrari. They're one of the two teams that understood the technical regulations from 2022 perfectly well, and by introducing the bulkier side pod design, they've been able to give Leclerc and Sainz a car that had the potential to fight for wins, but was hindered by mechanical issues and strategy blunders. Nonetheless, the bulkier side pod design is something that will go down the drain in Barcelona, as according to Corriere dello Sport, the Maranello team will now follow the path that Red Bull set back in 2022 and further improved in 2023, the double floor side pod design. When talking about this matter, the newspaper wrote, "In Maranello, engineers remain convinced that the updates will make the SF23 more consistent and balanced in the race, with small advantages even in single lap pace. The data seen on the simulator suggests there is reason for optimism. New rear suspensions, new Red Bull style side pods and floor are expected." It's no wonder that Ferrari will work on the floor now that they've been able to analyse the entirety of Red Bull's underground, and it's more than evident that this is the part in which both cars differ a lot. So, while the changes will be very much visible on the car, in terms of a new side pod design being introduced, the floor is the section in which not just Ferrari, but every other team out there will try to improve on. But unlike any other team out there, Ferrari understood what needed to be done with the technical regulations back in 2022, and that's one of the main reasons why the hype around the Maranello team is so big. They're here to win races, and it seems like the engineers have finally given them what the drivers desperately need, a competitive car. But what does Vasseur have to say about the ever-waiting upgrade package? One that was supposed to be introduced in Imola, but had to wait until Barcelona due to the cancellation of the Italian GP. When talking about this matter, Vasseur went on to add, "We're working hard and we have to keep our heads up. We're hoping to have a great weekend. We'll bring updates, but that doesn't mean we're changing our philosophy. I think there is room for improvement in terms of performance, but it would be a mistake to completely change the concept in the middle of the season. I hope we'll take a step forward in Barcelona, but it will not be the end of car development in terms of updates." What seemed to be the main issue for Ferrari up until the Barcelona GP was the suspension area, something that was giving Leclerc and Sainz a hard time driving the SF23. The new suspension, according to Vasseur, is supposed to allow the drivers to find the limit more easily, which will then enable them to push more, not just in the race pace direction, but also in one-lap performance, in which Ferrari doesn't seem to have struggled as much as the other teams on the grid. But will this be enough to tackle the raging beast that Verstappen and Perez are driving in 2023? Obviously, it's going to be a massive challenge. And judging by the upgrade of just one race, you couldn't say if the team is now ready to fight for the championship. All in all, it's a positive direction in which the team is moving, and it's definitely something that they need now that the drivers have expressed their worries about the balance of the car, something that Vasseur claimed to be a bit of an exaggeration after the Monaco GP. Ferrari not changing their concept could only mean good news for the team, because it means that they're confident with what they have, and it's just a couple of pieces missing for them to have the complete picture. A competitive car that will finally bring the championship back to where it belongs, Maranello. However, it's evident that the advantage Red Bull has over the Italian squad is in the DRS. with Verstappen showcasing that in Baku when he was able to pass Leclerc by having a 30 km/h advantage over the Ferrari driver. Obviously, there are some issues that cannot be fixed overnight, but Ferrari does have the groundwork they can work on, and if there is a team that can improve from what they've been doing in the previous year and a half, that's definitely Ferrari. After some huge shakeups in the team and departures in the technical staff as well as the leadership of the team, everything seems to be a mess at Ferrari, which doesn't necessarily mean that it will remain this way for the remainder of the season. This is a scenario with which Vasseur is heading into the Spain GP, and when talking about the critics for Monaco and what we should expect from the SF23 in future races, the team principal went on to add, "As soon as we're able to unlock the potential that is there, starting from the front row, we'll be able to fight for the win. I don't know if you're so hard on Mercedes when they're behind us in qualifying. We were third in qualifying in Monaco, less than a tenth off pole position and 200ths off the front row. To say we didn't have the pace in Monaco, I think is a bit hard on us. To be able to fight for pole position for me was satisfying. The circumstances of the race is the reason why we didn't show the pace, but no one can say that we didn't have the pace." There are some new old issues that remain with Ferrari, such as the reliability of the car as seen by Leclerc's performance in Bahrain, as well as the strategy blunders yet again in Monaco. Again, these are situations that interfere with the performance of the car from an external point of view and are not directly correlated with how the car is actually acting on the track. After all, Ferrari does seem to be one of the fastest cars in terms of straight line speed, and they tend to have similar braking and accelerating points with Red Bull and Aston Martin during the low speed corners, which goes to show that these are not the places in which the car is losing time and performance. On the other hand, while Ferrari is the number one team that can challenge Red Bull for the win, they're not by far the only one, as Mercedes is also bringing the upgrades from Monaco here, something that needs to be watched closely because the Silver Arrows weren't able to extract the maximum possible data out of the street limited circuit. To top that off, Red Bull is also bringing something new to Barcelona, according to Helmut Marko. All in all, the race is supposed to be a very competitive one, and you should never turn your back on Alonso and Aston Martin, as the most improved team in 2023 is up there with Red Bull and Ferrari, fighting for podium finishes frequently. The attitude before the Spanish GP is very positive at Ferrari, with Sainz saying that this is going to be the best race of his career, and there's always extra motivation when you're driving at your home GP. This is something that Alonso knows very well too, but the bad news for both of them is that as of now, they don't possess the most dominant car on the grid, and they're not named Max Verstappen. The Dutchman is on a roll, so whether these new upgrades will work wonders on the SF23, time will tell. As I think that all of the genuine F1 fans hope that Barcelona will stir up some drama between the top teams.